Good morning, friends. I have some heavy readings for you. Actually, I'm just joking. I don't have a whisper from eternity this morning that I want to share. I have a painting from eternity, and I'm hoping that Michael, Georgia, or one of our tech people can pull up this painting from eternity. Thank you, Michael. And the two lines below it are from Whispers from Eternity. Many people know Yogananda's mystical poem, Samadhi. It's in his autobiography of a yogi. It's in Whispers from Eternity. These are the last two lines. A tiny bubble of laughter. I am become the sea of mirth itself. Let's say that 3 times together. A tiny bubble of laughter. I am become the sea of mirth itself. A tiny bubble of laughter. I am become the sea of mirth itself. A tiny bubble of laughter. I am become the sea of mirth itself. That's it. So, Master said to memorize this poem, Samadhi. He said, recite it every day. And now we have a head start because we have the spoiler alert. We got the last 2 lines. So I want to tell you a little story, a tiny bubble of laughter story. When Dharmadevi and I first moved to Los Angeles about 15 years ago, and we were starting the first ashram group house there, it was in Hancock Park, which is an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood in Los Angeles. And I grew up Italian, Roman Catholic, and it was beautiful to be in Hancock Park because on the Sabbath, every Saturday, families were out walking. There was a large home that was converted into a synagogue just down the street, and it had this focus on prayer and reflection on God. And our next door neighbors were Jewish. And on the Sabbath, one day, I don't recall what it was, if they got groceries. There was something that I needed to help them with that they couldn't do because it was the Sabbath. So I think I brought groceries into their home or something like that. And so after I did, the woman there, I think I put the groceries on the countertop, and so she just paused and she looked at me and she said, "So, are you part of the tribe?" And I said, "I think so." I never forgot that. But it reminds me, there's a joke about the rabbi. Maybe you heard this joke about the rabbi and his assistant. And they're before the altar, and the rabbi throws himself down and says, "I am nothing, I am nothing." And so his assistant, who's copying him, throws himself down, "I am nothing, I am nothing." And there was a janitor, and they didn't realize this, in the back of the temple. And then so he was just so inspired, so he came and threw himself before the altar and said, "I am nothing, I am nothing." And the rabbi nudged his assistant and said, "Look who thinks he's nothing." I'm sharing these funny interludes because every week, in the Festival of Light, we share that line, God's chosen people have always been those of every race and nation who with deep love chose thee. So we have a new year upon us, and we have many choices and many opportunities. What will we choose? Why not choose Samadhi? Why not choose to be that tiny bubble of laughter that becomes the sea of mirth? Why not say that you are a lover of God, that you choose to love God? But what does that mean? And how do we go about doing it? Well, Dharmadevi and I got a new puppy, He's a Great Pyrenees, and he's no longer like small and cuddly. He's already almost 80 pounds. His name's Bhima. We call him, Big Boy Bhima, BBB. And so Bhima helped me out with the talk today because I was in need of some inspiration, and he started gnawing at our bookshelf and during seclusion, and he really went at it. And I said, Bhima, no, don't do that. And he picked up this book, and he picked up this big book off the bookshelf. And I was like, what is that book? And I was like, oh my God, it's a friend gifted this to Dharma Devi and I. This is not a Crystal Clarity publication. This is not it's the World of Marian Apparitions. Divine Mother appearing from Fatima to Medjugorje. It's beautiful. And Bhima happened to open it up, our dog, to this one of Saint Faustina, Sister Faustina, who was a Polish nun back in the 30s, came from a very poor family, and Divine Mother appeared to her and said, you are to be my child, and I want you to perfect these virtues of humility, of purity, and of love of God. And Saint Faustina, she was a great saint, a beautiful soul. And she said that she used to snuggle up to Divine Mother's immaculate heart like a little child. I thought that was a beautiful image. And the fact that the dog, pulled it out, made it even more special. But how do we cultivate humility? Remember, Swamiji told us that humility is not self-abasement. It's not I am nothing. It's not throwing ourselves before the altar like that. It's self-forgetfulness. It's in the contemplation and the meditation of God that we lose ourselves, a tiny bubble of laughter. I thought that was significant. I didn't notice that in Master's poem, that the I is on the second to last line, and become the sea of mirth itself. He's emphasizing the becoming. He's emphasizing the yoga. But how do we get there? So there's this holy trinity of virtues of humility, of purity, and of love of God, so to speak. But if you remember that painting, I didn't introduce it properly. Jyotish, the subject today, by the way, is did God create the universe or become it? I'm actually flipping the topic and saying, do we create samadhi or do we become it? Do we create self-realization or do we become one with God? If creation is a process of becoming, so is our spiritual growth, so we can use it to our advantage. So Jyotish was commissioned. Someone asked him to paint samadhi. How do you paint samadhi? That incredible mystical poem, the ineffable spiritual state. And what did Jyotish do? Did he mentate and paint samadhi? No, he went into meditation and he felt samadhi. And it came to him. And if you go, we don't have to pull the painting back up, but if you go and look at that painting again, he has Master meditating, and there's a line from Master's spine right up to that mountain peak. And then it expands out into infinity, and you see the cosmos around. And I realized in that painting that Jyotish has the steps to samadhi. And you know how in our meditation, the path to Kriya Yoga, we talk about 3 stages of meditation: relaxation, concentration, and expansion. And I realized that he had all of that is in that painting. There's this beautiful, relaxed energy, right? Master's sitting, he's outside. Or you could say energy, concentration, expansion. So there's this divine energy, this inspired energy. But the energy, what? It moves towards a focal point. It's hitched to that pole star at the top of the mountain. And then it doesn't stop there. It expands into infinity. And to me, so I think because we were in seclusion and we had that painting on our refrigerator, and then we had our dog gnawing at Divine Mother, it like those trinities were coming together more deeply. We hear this is a Catholic dogma, to Jesus through Mary. The Master said the Holy Trinity, it's a universal, it's a Sanatan Dharma truth, meaning through Divine Mother that we get to the Christ within, that we get to God the Father beyond. The Trinity is Om Tat Sat, right, in India. So that Trinity is a way that we all ascend. So we need to start with having some inspired energy. And where will we find that? How about Master's poem Samadhi? Like that, Swami told that story of that Frenchman that challenged the American to a duel. And the American said, apple pie in 15 paces. And he was joking, you know. And why not challenge ourselves with memorizing this poem, Samadhi? And you can start, Nayaswami Narayan, I don't know if he's here, he wrote a deeply inspiring blog like 15 years ago. You too can memorize Master's poem, Yogananda's poem, Samadhi. It's a great blog. It's on the Ananda website. You can find it somewhere. But he encouraged us, just start with one line. You know, it's one of my favorite lines. My newly awakened memory divine. Think about that. It's new, but it's a memory. So it's old. It's a paradox, right? He's sort of, that doesn't make sense, but on a deeper level, it makes perfect sense. And this is Smriti. This is to me, this is one of the most inspiring things, is we don't have to create the samadhi. We don't have to create our realization. We just have to wake up. That's why I asked Dharma Devi, thank you, Dharma Devi, for that chant. From this sleep, Lord, will you wake? We just need to wake up. I don't know about you, but we're asleep. We're asleep at the wheel. And what will propel us is the inspiration, is to love God. But we need a way to do that. We need the other line from Samadhi. By deeper, longer, thirsty, guru-given meditation comes this celestial Samadhi. That's how it comes. So we need to awaken that hunger. And I wanted to share one of Master's poems from Songs of the Soul. This is a shameless crystal clarity plug now. This is called Wake, Wake, My Sleeping Hunger Wake. When tables large of earth and moon and meteors, of brooks and rills of shining ether ore, are laid with wondrous one nectar, stolen from nature's nooks by Lars, do thou thy sullen sleep forsake. Wake, wake, my sleeping hunger, wake. Through diverse paths of eons thou hast cried, for a morsel of manna begged and tried. But now thou sleepest dazed and tired on lyre. Undried lie drops of fresh wept tears. While nectar touches thy lips, partake. Wake, wake, my sleeping hunger, wake. This unquenched hunger old of mine did eat all food and yet did pine, was starved with surfeit and it sought. How might its yearn for food be got? The food for which thou wepst awaits. Partake, wake, wake, my sleeping hunger, wake. Friends and wealth and fancy rarest treat, posthumous wishes sprung from deathless roots so sweet, did fail to feed thy heart's true crave, and burned with thousand flaming waves. The nectar sought forseeks thee now. Partake, wake, wake, my sleeping hunger, wake. My hunger burned and wept to drink the mysteries by life's bare brink, ambrosial font that sleep beneath the mystery caves on soil of truth. Weep more drops, nay streams, oceans of tears. Thy duty is for peace to weep, thy only care. To seek thy work and all thy food be what doth nourish thy mood. Thy work is done, thy nectar's here. Quench, quench the eternal ache. Wake, wake, my sleeping hunger, wake. These poems are so beautiful. Yeah. So find that poem, find that line that is meaningful for you. And I suspect that if you take just one line, that it will inspire you to take another one. And those two will lead you to that final ineffable state. I want to close with a story. This is a true story that I believe Gandhi told. There was a man, and he met a woman at his work, and he fell in love with her. And his home was an absolute pigsty. It was a mess. And he had dishes in his sink that literally almost touched the ceiling. And so he did not want to bring her back to his home. So they would always go to a park or somewhere else. And they were passing by a rose bush, and she, in spontaneity and love for him, just picked a rose and gave it to him. And this one act of selfless love, it deeply touched him. So he brought that rose back home, and his place was a mess. And so he had to clear first he had to find a vase or something to put the rose in. So he had to start to clean up his kitchen sink, and finally found a jar, a mason jar, something that he could use to put that rose in. And then he had nowhere to put it because his tables were a mess, so he cleaned that off. And lo and behold, that one act led him to clean up his entire apartment. And then he held the space for that one rose. And it reminded him of the love of his beloved. And so too for us. One line, one moment in the presence of a saint will be our raft over the ocean of delusion. And we will wake awake our sleeping hunger, and we will be a tiny bubble of laughter that will become the sea of mirth itself. God bless you.
Nightingale, nightingale, sing of joy through thy night. Teach all men how to sing, clouds of gloom into light. Without silence, what is song? Without light, where is dawn? Were it not for men's war, Nightingale, nightingale, sing of joy through the night. Let each tone silence grow, earth and heaven unite. Morning laughter, evening tears, snow and blossoms, all fade. Joy must sing in the night, to face change unafraid. Nightingale, nightingale,